I'm talking with Kalamaras, my good friend. We haven't spoken in a while. So yeah, it's good to see you, man.
Yeah, good to see you too, Chris.
Um, so I want to start like I always do with these kinds of things at the very beginning. Like, how did you get into music? Where did your love for music start? And yeah, when did you first pick up an instrument? All those
Right.
kinds of things.
Yeah. I've got a twin brother, so that plays a really big part in it, because my father was a classical guitarist. He actually played classical guitar from the age of 14, I believe, till his mid to early 60s. So there was always music in the house. So our introduction to music was through him, essentially. So that, hearing him play music, that was a big part. And there was also a couple of other things as well, like that really shaped, us getting into music. Is that where we were living at the time, our parents didn't really want us to kind of associate ourselves with some of the kids in the neighborhood, because they were pretty rough kind of kids. So they bought us a guitar, they bought us a keyboard, and they said, look, why don't you guys play music, and we kind of just, that became our focus from the age of 9 onwards, really.
Cool.
So yeah, and there was also other things as well, like, we um our exposure to, when we went to Greece, that was obviously, because we lived in Greece for a little bit, then we came back, and then around about that time, look, personally for me speaking, there was a television show on SBS called Dominotic Savies, which was a 27-part TV show, which is kind of, the characters were loosely built around musicians from the pre-40s, and or the Rebetika, and that's how we kind of came across that music from the age of 9.
I was actually
And
going to ask about the Minore di Salguis, because I remember hearing you not all that long ago speaking on the global village, and you brought that up as well. But
yeah,
before we go down that path,
yeah,
I mean,
yes,
I know you're a huge fan of Rebetika. It's kind of your all-consuming passion these
yeah,
days.
yeah,
But before you became the kind of Rebetiko tragic that you are now, I
yeah,
mean, I was looking up. You had a couple of bands beforehand. There's been a couple of tracks from the band Damselfly that you were
yeah,
previously
yeah,
involved
yeah,
in.
yeah.
So, and is there any? Tell us about some of your previous bands, and is there any other kind of con recordings in
Yeah,
your
tons,
archive?
tons. So from the age of 9 till about 15, we were kind of playing with Greek music, and then from about 15, we kind of, I did certainly made the switch to English music, um, and that was from anything from 50s rock to 60s rock, and then psychedelic music. It was all kinds of music, and it kind of, we're talking from 86 to 84 to 1990. It was like the explosion of guitar kind of based music, and we were just really into it. Lots of just really simple rock bands, and yeah, there was tons of it. So obviously, I was in a band, a Melbourne band called Sage, which was kind of like my first real rock band, I suppose, and I'm still friends with most of those guys, but I was the youngest out of all those guys. So a lot of those guys that were in the band were kind of like pub, kind of real hardened pub musicians. So they would just hit the road running and had tons of gigs booked, and I was like, whoa, okay, now we're playing gigs. So that was interesting, being 18 doing that. And then a couple of years into it, I went and lived in the UK for about 3-4 years, and that's when I really started writing songs a lot, because I was kind of by myself there. I didn't have any other musicians, and that was kind of, I was really homesick, and I was writing lots of acoustic based music. And then when I came back to Melbourne, one of the guys from the previous band, me and him kind of clicked, and I said, look, let's do some duo stuff. And that's where that band came from, that Damselfly band. And I kind of took the songwriting reins and the managing reins from that, and I was doing that, writing songs. We're doing tons of gigs. It became a 4-piece, then a 5-piece. We did a couple of CDs, Triple J, all that kind of stuff happened, which was exciting. And then after that, I after about 7 years in that band, I joined another band called Guernica. And Guernica is probably kind of like post-punk, kind of Manic Street Preachers music, you know what I mean? Which I loved, right? I really loved. And I was doing that. And we did tours, we did gigs, and they were just really fun. It was really exciting, kind of edgy music, really aggressive music, you know? And then by about 4 years into that, after we did 2 CDs, I believe, and a ton of recordings, I kind of just, by 32, I was like, I think I'm done. I think I'm done from doing gigs, and I stopped playing gigs. I actually stopped playing music for a couple of years, actually.
Wow.
I didn't even pick up an instrument. I just needed to just, forget about music and just try to figure out what got me excited. And then just by chance, I'll tell you the story. So I was working for an arts organization at that time, and this is the year and a half of no music, nothing. I was just really healthy. I was just, reading tons, no music. You would not believe, nothing. I didn't even pick up an instrument. And then I got invited to this seminar that was at Northcote Town Hall, and it was a Rebetika seminar. And I said to my dad, "We should go. It'd be good. Let's go together. Kind of like a date kind of thing. We'll go hang out." And he goes, "Yeah, all right." And on the day, he bailed on me, right? He goes, "No, I don't feel like it." It was raining. It was a really cold winter day. And on the invite said, "Bring your instrument." And I turned and I said to him, "Well, I got to go. I can't go." I said that I was going to go. So I turn up by myself. And the lady who was running the workshop is a friend of mine called Anthea Sideropoulos. She goes to me, "Where's your instrument?" And I said, "I didn't bring it." She goes, "No. Is it in the car?" And I said, "Yes, go get it." And then it was kind of like a theatre where people on the stage, and they had like a academic person called Demeter Tsunas, who's from Adelaide. She's done a couple of theses on Rebetika. And then once it started, I'm like, I remember this, because, I'm automatically thinking, 9-year-old me getting excited again about music. I'm like, I get it. So afterwards, I went up to them and I said, "Oh, that was really good. I actually really enjoyed that." I said to the musicians, "Are you guys playing anywhere?" And they said, "Well, actually, we play at this place in Richmond called Nick's, which is in Swan Street. Was run by a friend of ours." And he said, "It's just a jam night." So I turned up 4 days later by myself again. And they're like, "Where's your instrument?" I'm like, "I didn't bring an instrument. I thought it was just a gig." And they're like, No, here's a guitar. You can play with us." So again, and then I met a few more musicians, and then I was like, "Oh, I'm back into it again." And then I went the following Wednesday, then the following Wednesday. And after a while, I started to get to know some of the musicians. And then I started asking, there was 2 guys that I met. Was a guy called, obviously, Wayne Simmons, the guy that I play with now, and another guy called Fortis Vergopoulos, who I played for ages. And I said to him, "Where do you guys play?" And they said, "Oh, we're playing in Oakley." And they go, "Do you play any other instruments other than guitar?" And I said, "Well, I used to play the Bagalamar." So they go, "Well, here you go." So I was still going to Wednesdays, and then I started going to Thursdays at Eurobyte. So it was Wednesday, Thursdays. These weren't paid gigs, by the way.
Yeah.
And then I started going Wednesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, Sundays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, Sundays. And I started getting my skills back up again. And then after a while, somebody said, "Well, do you want to play with us at a gig?" And I'm like, "Sure." And then it kind of just exploded. And then I started playing more and more with Wayne and Forty. And then around about that time, my mum suddenly passed away. Just like, it was just unexpected. And that was just devastating. It was like she collapsed on a Thursday. She was dead by Saturday, right?
Wow.
No signs, nothing, right? So you kind of have to put it all into perspective, how these things kind of lock in. And that music was the one thing that was kind of like my anchor during that period.
Mm.
I was like, well, this is really helping me. I'd get home from work, devastated, put my headphones on, and I literally would just play it about to go for like 8 hours until I couldn't stay awake. And then I go to sleep, go to work, repeat. I did that every single night for about 3-4 months. And anyway, and then Wayne and Forty and another guy, George, were booked to play at the recital center, and they said to me, would you like to play? Can you, I said to them, "Look, can I play with you guys?" And they said, "Sure." We did that, and then we did Port Fairy and all these other things. Kind of just me and Forty started playing more together. Me and Forty, Wayne started playing more together, and it just, repertoire just started to build and build and build and build. And then after about 3 or 4 years, Forty had to go back to Greece. and then the kind of journey continued, you know. So you got, you know, a really horrible outcome, you know, a really horrible life-changing experience where it just took my life just took another direction. You know what I mean? I don't know if I didn't go to that one workshop, would I still be? I mean, I still listen to the music, but where would it have gone? You know, it's really interesting. Yeah,
sliding doors moment.
Exactly, man. And I'm a really big believer of that as well. You know, because when I think about if you go back, you know, 10, 15 years beforehand, where I went to the UK, that was because I met somebody who was backpacking here. And I said, I'm going to go to the UK now to be with this person. That's because I went to that one night out with my sister. You know what I mean? And then, you know, and then you go back 4 years earlier when I was in year 11, and I was doing all the studies to follow a science background. And then during that summer between year 11 and year 12, I'm like, I can't be bothered. I'm going to do an apprenticeship. And I applied for an apprenticeship and I got an apprenticeship. So it's all these things that just kind of shaped. Yeah.
What apprenticeship was it?
Electrician.
Oh, sweet. Okay. I didn't know. There you go. Cool.
Yeah, I've had 18 different jobs. Anyway, so it's my CV looks, well, look, the last 20 years, my CV's kind of taken an arts, you know, arts organizations. But before that, it's just all over the shop. But that's, you know, it's good. It makes you who you are, you know.
And yeah, I mean, we mentioned Dominoretis of this. So
Yes.
yeah, did you see it? You saw it while you were in Greece when it was originally airing?
No. I saw it here. It here. And yeah, and I don't know if you've ever seen the show. Those characters really I really connected with the characters. You know, they were the actors, I should say, who played those roles. I mean, when I look at it now, at a later age, I can see that the producers of the show kind of fabricated a story around real life people. You know what I mean? So, but it worked, and it's still. And I bought the DVD set, you know, a few years ago, and I watched it, and it's still got some great cameos of legit people who have since passed on. So I just loved it. I really loved it, and you know, me and my brother would watch it, and my parents would watch it, and my dad would say, "This music's way older than me. This music's your grandfather used to listen to this." So you know, hey, you see how this kind of keeps you connected with everything, you know.
Yeah.
And that was hands down a life-changing experience.
Yeah. So yeah, what was it about this kind of music that you were hearing on this show that you kind of said, "Oh man, this is great. This is for me." What kind of captured your imagination with the music?
I think it's a combination of obviously the instruments and the music, but lyrically as well. Like, you know, I think the lyrics are still to this day. I think they're pretty direct. They're pretty, you know, they just speak to people. Any good song speaks to people, regardless of language, you know. And any good song won't age, you know. And these you know, songs that are over 70, 80 years old still make me go, wow, that's pretty poignant, pretty still relevant, you know. You know, human, you know, the human conditioning. And I just felt that they were really.
You recently celebrated 2 years at the Rebetika Jam in Clifton Hill here in Melbourne.
Yes, yeah.
And yeah, I know you've had residencies playing Rebetika in other venues, but this particular event seems to have really kind of grown and become part of the kind of almost the fabric of, you know, what you are in the Melbourne scene. So what is it about this particular night that seems to work that maybe hasn't worked in other kind of venues that you've tried?
Okay, well, that's a good question, because so me and Wayne identified a couple of years ago that look, it's great having gigs. There's no doubt about it. It's good having residencies, but we kind of took a step back and said, okay, we identified that there was a huge gap between established musicians and people that are playing, right? And you know, and the way that we kind of think of it is, well, what's going to happen in 5-10 years time? We're not going to be are we still going to be playing as much as we are now? Who knows, right? But we felt that there was a gap, that there wasn't an opportunity for people to skill up or play or learn, or, you know, because I go by the theory that one gig is worth 10 rehearsals. You know what I mean? So we had the idea of starting a jam where people, regardless of all levels, beginner, established, male, female, whatever, English, non-Greek, whatever, a place where they can turn up each week and just play with us in public, right? And it sounds it sounds kind of odd, but it really seems to gravitate. It brings people that normally would not have had a chance to play, right? I'll give you an example. There's a friend of mine who lives not that far from here, where I live, who's not Greek, and he approached me and goes, "Oh, look, can I come over and you can teach me some songs?" I'm like, "Sure, sure, sure." And he used to come over every Saturday. We used to play. I used to show him songs, and then it got to a stage where I said to him, "Man, I don't know if I can teach you anything else. You just need to play with people. That's where you're at now. You already know songs, and you know how to play an instrument. You just need to play with people." And that's how we came about with the idea. And also, Wayne was a school teacher, a music teacher at Alphington Grammar. So he felt that there was lots of kids there that were talented, but where do they go after they finish year 12? They just either go to uni or they just kind of drop off, and that's it. You never hear from them again. So that's what we've been able to capture, is that we're getting people who have an interest in the music, want to get better, and because there's around 15 odd people that play with us each week. It changes all the time. There's a few that come week in, week out, and there's others that come in depending on their work, whatever. But the venue itself, where else are you going to see 15 musicians play? You know what I mean? So the venue is always busy because people want to see the venue. They want to see the musicians play, and the musicians love it because they get to play. So it's like this win-win for everybody. So we've got a Dropbox account with all the sheet music of all the songs that we play, and all the lyrics are in there as well. And we share the link to everyone who comes. So that way, when they turn up, they kind of got a rough idea what we're going to play. And yeah, it's become a thing now. And as a result of that, our mutual friend Christina, who she's then started the Sydney Greek Jam, and that's had success as well, because it's people who don't get to play all the time, and now they do. So it does. Little things do make a difference. You know what I mean? It does have a profound effect on people. And now we got people that come out an hour out. Some come from Geelong, some come from, Pakenham to come in. And it's great. 50 people to book the venue out, and it's always booked out. And then people try to get in, and they can't in because it's booked out. They're like, "Well, we'll book for next week." So it just keeps getting booked out. But it's also led to other things. We've also been able to, as a result of the jam, we had Greek TV contact me. I don't know if you saw that. They rang me up and they said, "Look," they emailed me, "Can we do an interview and get you guys to play 2 songs?" And that was national TV. So that was, that was the Greek Jam.
Yeah, I saw that actually.
That was funny. A bit weird, but that was funny.
Nice. Well, from little things, big things grow.
They do. Paul Kelly got it right.
So yes, the Rebetika Festival.
Yes.
So you were essentially the brainchild behind the festival.
Oh, no, I wasn't. A friend of mine called Con Garamuntsos, we're really good friends. He came up with the idea. So we did the first one together, and which was in 2016 at the Caravan Club, which was a lot of fun. And then we had a break, and then we brought in another fellow as well called Forty Kapitopoulos, who we were able to secure funding as well with the City of Melbourne. So we did 2018 at the Recital Centre. So that was good because we were able to bring a band from Greece, local lineups, and then also have them play in Sydney as well. So it was we established a partnership with Sydney Greek Festival. So yeah, that was good. That was a lot of fun. Just different animal altogether, because when you're doing a gig at the Caravan Club, to get the marketing collateral and the press releases, that's a pretty quick turnaround. But with a venue like the Recital Centre, their deadlines for marketing are so much more far ahead. And, so, we're talking 6 to 8 months ahead. They need collateral, and you need to have a signed agreement before then. But timing wise, with visa applications and all these other things that you need to lock in beforehand to make the editorial deadline. So that's kind of it's just a juggling act. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, well, okay, well, have we got the funding? Have we not got the funding? Have we locked in Sydney? Have we not locked in Sydney? Visas, flights, and that was a really big learning curve.
Mhm.
But we got there in the end. That was really good. We sold, I think it was around about 900 tickets. We got SBS on board as well, PBS, Triple R. So that was from humble to really big, right?
I was gonna ask that actually because you did start off from kind of humble beginnings, and going from Caravan Club to the recital centre is a big step. So what was the kind of thought process behind was it just we want to expose this music to as many people as we
Yeah,
can?
yeah. I think we realised, okay, if sure, we could have kept on having it at Oakley, and that's fine. It'll keep selling out. But I think if you wanted to broaden the market to non-Greeks as well, and just elevate it to a whole larger audience, I think the venue change was probably going to be essential for that. Because we already had an established market and need, audience, but with a venue like the Recital Centre, they've got their own collateral, their own email lists. It just
You can
takes
reach
it
a
to a
whole other level.
whole another level, whole another audience. I think from memory, their magazine goes out to 10,000 people, I think. And again, you have to have all the collateral locked in, the right images before you can even. Oh, it was completely new at the time. We're like, whoa, okay, what deadline you need to know by a month's time? It was just juggling lots of things, But the 2019 one, that was it. I think that was, dare I say, I felt that it was a little bit easier because we were able to lock in the band. Well, at Etienne, we locked them in to play WOMAD, South Australia and New Zealand, and also Port Fairy and the Rebetika Festival and Sydney. So all we had to do was just map it out. Yeah, I think I felt like the second time it was actually easier because we'd already been there before. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it was look, for me, I enjoyed both of them, by the way. But for me, the second one was a different because I had a connection with the band. I already knew them as people, and they were friends, and I tour managed them. So I took them from Melbourne to Port Fairy, Adelaide, and then we flew to New Zealand. We did New Zealand, and then back to Melbourne, and then we went to Sydney. So I did all of that, So I took 2 weeks off work, and
The
it
grin on
was
your
just,
face says it all.
well, it was small things that made it really funny. Like, I didn't realize that one of the members of the band hated flying, and I'm a bit of a, I take great pleasure in watching people who are uncomfortable in flying. I love watching that, and me stirring them is even funnier. and, and even small stuff like, which, again, it's only stuff that you learn from experience, is that what a couple of the instruments were heavier than what they originally told me. So that just threw the logistics off, or the guitar cases were not the right case for flight cases. So having to source a flight case, and, what power supply did they need? It was just hysterical, and we've been lucky, like with Blidi Taxi and at Etienne. They are just the loveliest people, no divas, no headaches. So that's what made it fun. You know what I mean? If it was a painful band, I don't know how I would have gotten through it, but they would just, And then the funny thing is, this is just a side note, before they flew out to play Sydney, then Sydney leave to go to Melbourne, I did lock in one night at Sindos for the band to play at Sindos at Etienne, right? And cheekily, I kind of scheduled it to be on my birthday, right? And I said to the band, I said, "Can I play Baglamar?" They go, "Yeah, of course." So it was just a really special night. And
Nice.
they organised a cake for me, and it was just, it was just great. It was just a lot of, and after that, I thought, how the fuck are we going to top this up? We've had Blidi Duxie, who are just beautiful people and still friends to this day. Then you got Etienne, who are really, and I'm like, can you top it up? Yeah.
Well, again, like I say, the kind of the grin on your face when you're talking about these acts, and the whole experience of it all really kind of, I think, sums it up.
Oh, there's so many clips that aren't public of us that are just hysterical that I just watch, and sometimes, and they watch as well, because we share them amongst, we just laugh our heads off. But it was also the downtime stuff that was really funny. Like in New Zealand, there was a few days that they weren't playing, so we just sight saw. We hired bikes, and we did stuff. Almost got hit by a train. Well, it was where the band was staying in New Plymouth, which is where WOMAD is. Me and Navieri, the accordion player, went, let's go to the beach. So we walked down this path, and we crossed this railway line, and we went to the beach. And on the way back, this is an electric train, so you can't hear anything, right? And on the way back, just the way the shrubs were, and when we walked out, a train just came, and we just had to like last minute pull out, And I was like, oh, that was dangerous. We almost got hit by a train. And then we went to the pub, and we said to the guy, this just happened. He goes to me, wow, that train only comes by once a week. He goes, that's incredible that that what are the odds?
At that moment.
Yeah. But it was look, even outside of the relationship with the band, skill wise, to having done that 2 years, I like nothing phases me now. You know what I mean? With organization, like now it's like, okay, we need this. You can't learn that stuff. You just have to do it. You know what I mean? And then you go, okay, well, if this goes pear, what's that backup? It just teaches you how to, have a contingency plan. It's really good experience. So yeah, I'm glad I've done it.
It's another project that you're involved with in the last 12 months is the Greek Fringe.
Yes.
So yes, you've done what, two or three or four online shows.
5. That came about. So Christina, who we worked at the Rebetika festival, Christina Bacchiala, we've still, the Rebetika stuff's still there, but we identified that there was a huge gap between the promotion of kind of modern contemporary Greek art, or Greek inspired art. So you don't have to be Greeks. So and there's a lot of exciting projects that are happening in Greece and also in diaspora. So originally it was going to be a 3-day event at the Hellenic Museum, and we locked in a partnership with them for 3 years, and they were like they were behind it, and then COVID hit, and then we were like, oh crap. So we said to them, look, is it okay if we kind of just shifted, as everybody else did, to digital? And that kind of worked in our favor, because when you're doing a festival, you have to bring people over, everything goes for 3 days. But what we did is that we engaged with production companies in Greece, and they'd film the performance. We'd film a performance of a local artist, and then we edit it as a show, a digital show.
Mm-hmm.
We locked in a partnership with a few people that the Hellenic Centre in London, they're one of our partners, the Greek American Foundation in New York, and also Papa's Post in New York, which is the two media companies, the Hellenic Museum in Melbourne, and also Greek radio station in Greece, and a couple of another arts organization called Aptaliko, which is it's kind of like a Greek arts organization as well. And so the first one we did, we organized the stream to happen simultaneously across all our platforms through cross-posting. And the reach was crazy, right? And then after the second one, we were like, okay, well, maybe, because then we got more artists as it progressed. Then we decided to have the streams go at the optimum time in those territories. So it'd be 8:30 Melbourne, 10 p.m. in Greece, 8:30, so all different times. So that was great. So we've done that, and I think I've got a report that I can send to you, which will give you a snapshot of all the statistics of reach and stuff. But separate to that, we've also started doing online vocal workshops with Greek artists from Greece. We've done bouzouki workshops as well. Mm-hmm. We've done lauto workshops as well. So we haven't really stopped since March last year. Oh, actually, since March last year, there's been 5 concerts, and then the rest have been monthly workshops every single Tuesday. Yeah, it's kind of So that's I think the silver lining from last year was that that this kind of by default maybe has worked out better for us, because we've been able to reach people more broadly than a 3-day event in Melbourne,
Yeah,
which we
yeah.
will do anyway. That's what we're going to plan to do. But this way, we've just kind of really across 4 continents, running tons of grants, and so we've been non-stop grant writing mode, which has been great.
Well, I look forward to when the physical event actually takes place as well.
Yeah, and I think also that it will be hybrid events now. That's where it's all going. It will be digitally streamed for people overseas, and also people in person as well. That's been a blessing, really. So I think that's a good thing that we've managed to kind of keep momentum happening.
Yes, I mean, it is still fairly new. It's only about 12-ish or so months old. I mean, I'm sure
Yeah,
the planning started even way before that.
yeah, it did.
But, I mean, what are your hopes and dreams for this little baby of yours now, the Greek Fringe?
I think it could just keep on going, because it's not only music; it's other art forms as well. There's theatre, there's photography, there's digital media. There's the sky's the limits with this. You know what I mean? So I think it's you know there's this part of us that really loves the Rebetika, and we'll still keep doing that. But I think we also need to. I think there's also scope to. I'd love to be able to do it full time, So that's yeah. But I think the exciting thing is we're looking at ways that we can, our dream would be to have it across 3 days, but across 3 different continents. So have it 3 days in Melbourne, 3 days in Greece, and 3 days in New York. That's what we're aiming for, and each of those to be hybrid events as well. And it's not impossible. I mean, obviously, once you got to wait till things clear up, but so we're kind of building the foundations now with the digital events and all the content, and that's some of the clips have gone gangbusters. Some of them like 28,000 views in like a month. You know what I mean? It's just every time. And me and Christina joke about it. Every time I open up our email account, there's just like 3 pages of subscribed. Yeah, and we want to create like a hub where our digital concerts are only available on ours. You know what I mean? They can't be, we say to the artists, you can't share it anywhere else.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. But I think it's got loads of potential, and we're really excited about it. And there's some things that we're working on now that are going to be game changers.
Do you want to let the
No,
cat
I
out of the
can't.
bag, or
No, I can't.
no? Okay, fair enough.
But there's a couple of really exciting ones they're all exciting. Yeah, I think that we could really keep doing some really exciting stuff. Apart from that, there's been lots of residencies, sorry, that have popped up since post opening up COVID, and they haven't slowed down. It's been 2 weeks ago I played 6 times in a week. Yes, it's been pretty busy, and I'm really grateful for that.
Another thing you currently have in the works is your own album. Now, this
Yeah.
isn't the first CD you're going to be releasing, obviously, but if I'm not mistaken, it's going to be the first CD of original Rebetika material. Is that
Yes.
right? Yeah.
Yeah. So the first 2 CDs were obviously covers of other people. So that was nice and good. They did really well. They kind of got canvassed on community radio, and it's good. It was good. It's good fun. So during lockdown, I've written music in English before. I find that really easy to do, but I to write in Greek was really hard. So I wanted to set myself a challenge in lockdown to write it. So now I've completed it. Well, kind of 80% completed it, and it's a project that I've applied for 3 different grants, and if I get the funding, then it'll be hitting the road running. But it's around 22 songs, but I'll have to cull it down to 15 solid songs, and the aim is to have an album where it's both English and Greek lyrics,
Cool.
but the music's using Greek instruments, and to have tons of guest singers. So not just Greek singers, but have non-English singers, non-Greek singers as well. And I think this is going to be a really exciting project. you know, because eventually I wanted to get it to a stage where it's a CD, it's out, you do a CD launch, but then it becomes like a theater show or something. You know what I mean?
Nice.
That's yeah. So to have some sort of narrative built around it as well.
While the Rebetika genre is hugely popular,
Yeah,
there doesn't seem to be a lot of original Rebetika material coming out in, I don't know, in the last 10, 20 years or
in
so.
Australia, no. In Australia, no. In Greece, yes. Yeah. There's a few people that write in that style, and they've kind of done a modern twist on it. And you know, and there's a band called Sabi Trio. There's another band called Bam. There's another band called Tria Guitarras. You know, they all do. You know, these bands are writing music in that style and performing it in that style, but it's their own compositions. Blitty Duxy as well.
Yeah.
They write their own music, so it's there. But I think what this project that I wanted, which I'm doing, is it's going to be obviously newly composed works, but it's also got influences of, you know, Australia and you know where we are, you know.
Well,
So
I'd love to see more of, because you've got, for example, Christian Ronig doing the English interpretations of the Rebetika songs. There's,
yes, yes,
um,
yes,
which is really cool, but also, what's his name? Brendan Perry from Dead Can Dance. He's
yes,
also
yes,
done a similar kind of thing.
yes, yeah,
So yeah, I'd love to see kind of the melding of the Rebetika genre with, you know, English lyrics and with other styles as well. I
yeah.
think
I got really excited when like Imam Baldi. I mean, what they
yeah,
do, what they've done with it is they've just nailed. I think what they do, they've nailed it. You know, it's got traditional elements and it's got a bit of hip hop as well. And
it's
you know,
almost like a Moby-esque version of Rebetika.
yes, yes, and they've you know, I know that there's some purists out there who, you know, who just don't like what they do, but I hats off to them. I really like what they do. I think they've done it tastefully. It's it's really exciting, you know, and it's if anything, it's gonna get people interested in it. They're like, oh, what's that song based on? What's that sample? Where's that sample from? Oh, who did the original? It can't be a bad thing. I don't see it as a bad thing. I'm like, if you're getting people involved, that's like, you know, I'll give you an example. There's there was a huge revival in the 60s of Yorgos Pitikotsis who re-recorded some Vamvakari songs, right? Okay, so you got that in there. And then in the late 70s, you got Yorgos Dalaras, who recorded a whole bunch of Rebetika songs as well. And I know that there's some people out there who don't like his versions, which I understand. But the way that I see it is that, hold on, if people are if this creates an interest in those, then that's a positive thing. You know what I mean? And music is organic. It does live and breathe. You know, it doesn't stay the same. Just because it's on record doesn't mean that it didn't change after that. You know what I mean? So yeah, so you know, when even if you hear like those early blues recordings, right? You know, that was just one take. These guys have been playing these songs for years after that, and I'm sure they would have played it differently. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's good to learn the original versions, but songs do change as well. So
Absolutely.
and I think, you know, that's what I'm aiming for this project, is to have those traditional elements but also contemporary spin to it.
And when you're kind of writing in this style, I mean, you did say it was kind of difficult for you to write in Greek, but also just how aware are you of what has come before? And are you kind of, when you're trying to write in this style, are you kind of, how much does the thought of, I better make this good because it has to stand toe to toe with, you know, those classics come into your
Yeah,
mind?
yeah. No, I just acknowledge it. I manage my expectations. Go, let's be honest, you're not going to reach that bar. So just do the best you can. You're not. It's not going to be a classic. You know, you just got to make it sound like you, and just keep it really simple. Don't try to, you know, be a hero, and just try to make it sound as the best that you can. And you know, and a lot of those early recordings, they weren't virtuosos. They just played the best they can. A lot of those early musicians weren't musicians. They were just people who just kind of fell into those roles because they were hungry or they didn't really have a lot of other opportunities. You know, that's the way I see it. So you just do the best you can, and if your voice comes out, if you know, if something that comes out is you, then that's success, you know.
Nice, man. I like the way you think.
It's just, you know, you just need to know where you want to drive it to, you know what I mean? If it veers off a little bit, so be it. That's cool. That's what's exciting about recording. Some of the best rock albums are accidents, you know. Some of the best moments in recorded history are just, oh, that wasn't supposed to happen. But that's what I love. I love recording. I love it. I cannot tell you. So during lockdown, I actually like having lockdown, and songwriting was perfect for me. You know, it gave me time to focus, not be distracted. At the moment, I can't get anything in because we're juggling stuff again. You know,
Mm.
so when it comes, if I get the funding and it comes down to recording, I'll have to like take 2 weeks off, cancel whatever I'm doing, and just go away and just record it. You know, in isolation. That's what I think I need to do. Yeah.
Yeah, well, again, I look forward to hearing the results.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you.
Well, I guess the only thing left to ask really
Yeah.
is, yeah, what does the future hold for Kalamaras and music, and also plug away. What have you got coming up? I know you've got a few things coming up, so go
Okay.
ahead.
So the Greek Fringe, we're still going to be doing that. We're looking to expand on that, but it all depends on COVID. But the digital events and the workshops, we're still plowing ahead with that. Local wise, kind of tiptoeing into organising big concerts, but not. There's one on the 8th of May at Brunswick Ballroom, which is a live tribute. So we're really excited about that. To Yorgos Mitsakis, and that'll be with the Melbourne Rebetika Ensemble. Tuesdays at Frankston, Tuesdays at Frankston with a friend of mine, Jim Haritonis, duo stuff. Wednesdays we've got the Rebetika Jam. We've been playing at the Lefkadian Brotherhood once a month, which is in Coburg, which is again a 3-piece playing Rebetika Laika. Last Friday we played the first of many gigs on the Yarra cruise. Again, that we played really obscure kind of Rebetika stuff, and people really loved it because they knew what we were playing. I think, and also the album as well. And I think, yeah, when you're playing gigs, sorry, this is just a bit of a side note, but if it's so much easier if people know what you play as opposed to what they want you to play, you know. And yeah, and if we can still keep playing what we love playing, that's really what we want. That's what I want to keep doing, you know. A part of me still wants to do radio and get back into presenting again.
I was gonna, we kind of didn't really touch on that. So yeah, you did do your own radio show for a little while. How long did it last for?
It was 2 years. It clocked over 2.5 years.
Nice. Is there an
Yeah.
archive of it anywhere that people?
No, it kind of like with many radio stations, it's too costly to keep a backlog of that much of data. But that was a really good show. That was every week, I think for 2 hours every week, which was on Saturday nights, but it was pre-programmed. And I really loved doing that show. I loved it. I just loved it. But the only time that I could pre-record it, working around my life, was 6 a.m. on a Wednesday morning from 6 to 8, edit it, and then it's ready to go. And I normally play Tuesdays and Wednesdays, so it was just too much, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
But I'd love to get back into radio again to do specialist, you know, programs. Because I was, apart from Greek, I was doing Turkish, you know, Armenian, all kinds of archival stuff. So anyway, lots. There's always lots. I think you do as much as you can. You know, that's what I reckon.
Very nice. Well, where can everybody kind of keep up to date with what you're doing? Obviously, there's the Greek Fringe Facebook site. There's the Greek Fringe website.
Yes.
Are they the main things? Where else can people kind of?
I do have my own website, which is called kalamaras.com. That's just for the Rebetika gigs. And I've also got the Rebetika in Melbourne Facebook page. So that's probably the best way to, you know, like it's like what my partner says. She just said, whatever you do, just make sure you're going forward. Don't do stuff that you hate, or you know, or it's boring, because otherwise it trickles down. You know, do stuff that, you know. I very rarely repeat stuff that I've done before. Yeah, one of my bad habits is that I do get bored easily. You know, if I'm doing something, or if look, I'm really lucky that I play with people who are really passionate. You know, but that took a while to kind of surround myself with people that, you know, I really love doing what they do, and that's important.
Excellent. Well, I think that's probably a good note to finish on.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks so much, Chris. I can't wait to hear it.